So we've reached that time of year where we're in full soup season mode. And we're not just gonna do a basic chicken noodle soup or a tomato soup this week. We're making a Thai-inspired chicken noodle soup called Khao Soi. It's kind of like a ramen if you ask me. With a coconut milk base, it's excellent. It's got a lot of different herbs and spices in there. If you guys haven't tried any type of Thai cuisine, this is definitely one you're gonna wanna try. So without further ado, let's get to cooking. Okay, so today we're making Khao Soi, which I mentioned before in the intro. It's a Thai chicken soup dish, or a Thai ramen dish. Now, it looks like a lot of stuff is going on here, but it's really quite simple. Now, I'm not gonna make it super traditional. This is my version of this dish. I'm sure if you find other recipes online, there's some ingredients that are probably gonna be a little hard to find. So I'm gonna try to make this where you can at least get all these ingredients at the grocery store or at your local Asian market. So now here are a few ingredients of what you're gonna need. You need some chicken. I'm gonna use chicken thighs with skin on and the bone in, and I'm gonna shred this up later on and add it to my soup. So about 4 to 6 chicken thighs. You can also use leg quarters if you like. Now, in terms of the curry element for here, we have some massaman curry paste as well as some green curry paste. With this, it's gonna be hard to find unless you go to the Asian grocery store. If you go to the regular grocery store, you're probably gonna find the Thai Kitchen brand, which they have like a red or a green curry paste, which you can use for this dish and it should be just fine. Now, the base for this soup is coconut milk. So we need 2 cans of coconut milk, and I like to add a little bit of aromatics. Not that the curry paste is already pretty aromatic on its own, but I like to add it in my own. So we have some ginger, some shallots, some garlic, and then we're gonna use a little bit of sugar here to sweeten up our soup. Right here I have some Chinese egg noodles. This is a wheat noodle mixed with egg. It's like a fresh pasta, if you will. Half of these egg noodles are gonna go into our soup. The other half we're actually gonna fry up with some vegetable oil and make a crispy noodle to go on top as a garnish. In addition to that garnish, we have some cilantro and green onion that we're gonna use as a garnish. We have some coconut oil that we're gonna use to sear up our chicken. And then in all Thai cuisine, you're gonna need some fish sauce. This is the umami element for all Thai cuisine. It's just anchovies and water, basically. It's gonna add a little fishy element, it's gonna add some salt, it's gonna add some umami to our soup. Since I like it spicy, we're gonna add a little bit of sriracha, and then I have some chicken stock here that we're gonna use to thin out our coconut milk soup, and then just some salt and pepper. Very, very simple. Oh, forgot to mention, this right here is tamarind. This is a sour element, because we need some balance, right? Sweet, salty, sour. If you don't have the tamarind, which you can get at the Asian market, you can just use a lime wedge. So that's our ingredients, guys. Let's go ahead and start by searing up our chicken. So to start, I have a 6 to 8 quart pot on medium heat. You're gonna wanna take your chicken thighs, you wanna make sure you season them generously with a little bit of salt and black pepper. Now, since this is a coconut soup, basically, coconut milk soup, we're gonna start off with some coconut oil. And we'll use that to fry up our chicken. And then once that oil is hot, we're gonna go ahead and add in our chicken thighs. Now, the key to getting this chicken super crispy and developing that fond on the bottom of the pot, because that's really all I really care about. I wanna develop flavor into our soup. You don't wanna play with it. You're gonna wanna let this chicken sit here and don't touch it for probably a good 7 minutes or so. It's gonna take a little bit of time. We're gonna season the other side with a little bit of salt and black pepper as well. So it's been about 5 minutes. We're gonna go ahead and give our chicken a flip now. Ooh, that looks beautiful. And as you can see here, we got a nice sear on that skin. It's gonna create a beautiful fond on the bottom of our pot. Now, it doesn't have to go as long on this side, probably about 2 minutes on the other side, and then we're gonna remove them. All right, so we're just gonna set this chicken over here back on our sheet tray, let it hang out for a little bit. So now we're gonna reduce the heat of this pan to medium low, and we're gonna add in the shallots, a little bit of salt on the shallots to draw out some of the moisture. Now, once these onions start to turn translucent, we're gonna add in our garlic. It's about 2 or 3 cloves of minced garlic. This is about a 1-inch knob of ginger. Just gonna go ahead and add that in. After 30 seconds, or once you begin to smell it, we're gonna add a nice scoop of our massaman curry, along with a few tablespoons of our green curry. And we're just gonna let this bloom on the bottom of the pan. Now, in addition to those curry pastes, I'm gonna make sure I get a nice yellow color because the Khao Soi is usually yellow in color, so I'm gonna add a little bit of turmeric. Now, you just wanna let this fry until you start to smell it. You're gonna smell a lot of lemongrass. You're gonna smell a little bit of those warming spices from the massaman curry in there. Once you begin to smell that, and it looks like this, it looks like it's starting to fry on the bottom of the pan, we're gonna add our 2 cans of coconut milk. Let that curry paste incorporate with the coconut milk. And after about 3 to 5 minutes, this is gonna come up to a simmer. We're gonna add 3 cups of chicken stock. We're gonna add the chicken thighs right back to the pot. And don't worry, we're gonna remove the bones or remove the skin because it's gonna be rubbery after it simmers in here. I just want the fat from the skin. Really, the skin accomplished its job. It was to create fond on the bottom of that pot to give us a little additional flavor. All right, so now we're gonna increase the heat of this pot to bring this back up to a simmer. And we have to cook this for about 30 to 45 minutes or until our chicken is tender. So once this is done, once it comes up to a simmer and it's been simmering for about 30 minutes, I'll come back with you. We're gonna shred up that meat and we're gonna add it back to the soup. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes. We're gonna go ahead and fish out our chicken. The chicken is cooked, and as you can see, our skin's rubbery. We're gonna remove that, don't worry. Now I'm gonna let these chicken breasts hang out for a minute so they cool down so I can handle them. And now is the time we have to season this soup. So more or less, we're just gonna do this to taste. We're gonna add some fish sauce, probably around a tablespoon to start. It's gonna add some nice umami. We're gonna add a little bit of tamarind. This is gonna add some sourness to this soup. About a tablespoon of sriracha for some heat. We can always adjust it later. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of sugar. Now you can use palm sugar if you have it. It's normally at the Asian market, but a lot of people aren't gonna be able to find palm sugar. So we're gonna use white sugar. You can also use a little bit of brown sugar. Salty, sweet, sour. We wanna make sure we're having balance here in this soup. So we're gonna add a little bit of sugar. Make sure it's evenly incorporated into the broth. I'm gonna taste it just to see. Ooh, that's delicious. Let me think about it for a minute. So I think I want it to be a little bit more spicy. So another teaspoon or so of sriracha. I'm gonna add the rest of this sugar. This is probably around a half a teaspoon or so. A little bit more fish sauce. And then I'm not gonna add any more tamarind, even though I can taste a little bit of sourness. I wanna add a little bit of lime juice. So I'm gonna add a squeeze of a cheek of lime. Let's go ahead and mix this up one more time. All right, let's give it a taste. I think it's good right there. It tastes really, really good. By the time I add the chicken back, it's probably gonna add a little bit of salt because there's some salt on the chicken. So I'm gonna leave it there. We're just gonna keep this warm. So now we're gonna move on to cooking our noodles. So right here I have some vegetable oil heated to about 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Here's some of our noodles here. These are those Chinese egg noodles. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and drop this right in the oil. Gonna move them around a little bit so they don't stick together. It's not gonna take long, 3 minutes or so, just until they're crispy. We're just gonna go ahead and place them here on this paper towel. Now, anytime something comes out of the fryer, you gotta hit it with a little bit of salt. So we're gonna just season this with a little bit of salt. We're gonna go ahead and set these aside. So now to cook these noodles for our Khao Soi, I have a pot here filled with some water. We gotta season the water generously with salt. And then since these noodles are parboiled, they're only gonna take about 3 minutes to cook. So we're just gonna go ahead and add them right in. So we're really just trying to heat these through. So 2 to 3 minutes, these will be done, and then they'll be perfect to add right to our soup. Okay, so the chicken is cool enough for me to handle with my hands. You can also too, if you don't want to add it back to the soup, you can just add some of this chicken right to the bowl. That's what restaurants do a lot of times too. They'll have the meat separate, so then they'll have the broth separate. So there's add the noodles to the bowl, add a little bit of chicken. So that way you can get the perfect portion of meat and noodles and broth. We're gonna add this chicken right back in. So now we're just gonna give this one final stir, and I'm gonna show you how I like to serve this. So now we're gonna add some of our noodles right to the bottom of the bowl here. A nice generous amount of our broth going in. Add a little nest here of our crispy noodles. Then we're gonna hit it with some green onion, a little bit of fresh cilantro, just like that. A lime wedge, just in case you want some added acidity. And there it is, guys. That's our Khao Soi recipe. Let's go ahead and give it a try. That's a rich soup, I'm telling you. So right off the bat, this broth is super creamy. Now, it's not super creamy in terms of like a chowder or something like that. It's just creamy. It's just thin enough to be a soup. It's gripping the noodles beautifully, and it's a well-balanced soup. I'm telling you guys, you got the right amount of heat, got a little bit of sourness, a little bit of saltiness. Now, it doesn't taste fishy. A lot of people think they're gonna use fish sauce and everything's gonna be fishy. It's not fishy. That fish sauce just gives a little bit of umami. You definitely need it in any type of Thai cuisine that you're making. The chicken's very tender. That lime adds a little bit of nice acidity right at the end, along with some brightness from the cilantro and the green onion. The next time you guys are craving soup and you don't want something basic like a chicken noodle or a tomato soup, you gotta try this, especially because most of the ingredients are in your neighborhood. You can go to the grocery store and get about 90% of this stuff. Anyways, I hope you guys make it, and if you enjoyed this video or learned something, give me a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.